By the way, the Snips half zip fleece is still available if you guys want to grab some. You guys are killing it on the merch sales. If you want to grab one, the link is in the description, plus all the other merch that you guys may want, all there for you. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another video. So I want to talk about Baylan in today's video. I personally think that he's going to change back to the light. Now, this is going to be a pretty in-depth video about him. First of all, we know for sure that he is a survivor of Order 66 and he went hiding in the unknown regions somewhere. I believe Shin Hati is his daughter because she looks to be about 25 years old. There's a 25 to 30 year gap between Order 66 and where we're at now in Star Wars in the timeline in Ahsoka. So it wouldn't make sense for her to have even been at the Jedi Temple at any point in time because she wasn't born yet. Unless she's like the youngest looking 40-year-old that I've ever seen in my life, which I don't think is the case. So with that being said, I think Baylan and with their orange lightsabers, which in my opinion is indicative of them having first been Jedi, which they were, right? Shin Hati has the Jedi braid. She has the same Jedi sort of communication device that when she's in the ship from the trailers that Obi-Wan had in episode 2, the one that goes along the forehead. So I do feel like they have a lot of Jedi traits, like they were trained as a Jedi, and because Baylan was. And somewhere along the lines after Order 66, something happened where he started to go on his own path. And this made him change his lightsaber from blue or green to orange. It's not Sith red because he's not a full Sith. He's not fully engulfed in the dark side, but he is in the middle. You know, he's like yellow and red, which gives you orange. So maybe it's something like that. Maybe he was a temple guard or whatever. But anyways, there's conflict already noted in his lightsaber color, right? It's a halfway in between. It's like Mace Windu. He had anger and hatred within him, and so he was conflicted, and that's why he had purple. Purple is blue and red. Same thing, just this way he's more of a dark Jedi, whereas we could say Mace Windu is like a lighter version of a dark Jedi, or, you know, like a light dark, whatever. So I think Baylan, who at the end of episode 2 told Morgan Elsbeth, the Night Sister, that he finds it to be a shame that he will have to kill Ahsoka because she's obviously a very great Jedi. She's very highly esteemed and respected, but also because there's so few of them left in the galaxy. And Morgan pauses and she says, oh, like, you know, essentially saying, like, are you conflicted? Like, do you have a problem killing her? And he's like, no, I'm just being honest that there's only a few of them left and she's a very, you know, formidable opponent and she's a great Jedi. And so it's clear that he obviously has some affinity to the Jedi, having been one, of course, much like Count Dooku. I believe Count Dooku was much more far gone, and he was much more rooted in and cemented in his ideologies that the dark side was the right way, was the better way for him, and the better way for humanity and the universe and the galaxy. I think Baylan is somewhere in between where he's just kind of doing what he needs to do for survive, and we're going to learn about his story. But I think this conflict already is going to really manifest itself later on down the line when we go into episode 6, 7, 8, and perhaps I could see him sacrificing himself to protect Ahsoka or maybe another character because he sees his origins of where he comes from. And he's like, the Jedi are dying, and there's only so few of us left. And I could see him killing someone of importance, maybe Elsbeth, who knows, maybe a Rook, Thrawn's bodyguard. Well, I guess he's dead now, but Timothy Zahn did say a Rook doesn't have to necessarily be Rook. It could be just an idea or a guard or whatever. Or maybe he'll kill Pelion, or whatever it might be. I'm not sure. Maybe there's going to be another Jedi that comes or another Force user that comes in, maybe Merrick. I'm not quite sure. But either way, I think he is eventually going to sacrifice himself and he's going to die. And I think in this sacrificial death, I think Shin Hati will then turn back to the light. And I think she's going to be probably a main hitter in the shows going forwards. And I am all for that because I think she is nailing it. And hey, where are the people saying that, you know, Star Wars fans are sexist and this and that? She's so far a badass character. She's not so freaking annoying. We're not focusing on her so much. She isn't overpowered. She isn't obnoxious. And she's very, very stoic in the sense that she listens to her master. She does as she is told. And she's just a very well-written character so far. In these first 2 episodes already, I'm not annoyed by her. If anything, I want to see more of her. She's cool. So I think that Baylan Skoll will eventually die in a sacrificial moment to save one of the main characters, whether it be Sabine, Ezra, or Ahsoka. And in doing so, he will, you know, take out one of the pawns and he will die. And then Shin Hati will turn and she will join Ahsoka and everyone else. I think Shin Hati will probably live for a while. I think she'll be around for like a few seasons or a few shows or whatever it might be. Maybe even get like a book on her or spin-off or whatever. Who knows? which I'm cool with. So the other thing I want to talk about, which I'll touch on maybe in another video, but Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati are the wolves. Hati is the dark wolf that chases the sun. She's the moon who chases the sun, and the sun chases the moon. And so it's this cycle, it's this circle. And this is in Norse mythology. If you guys played God of War Ragnarok, you remember the wolves as well. So also another thing that you guys may have noticed or not noticed is that on the mural, there are the two Loth wolves. One is dark, one is light. Kind of weird. So do you think that Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati are able to transform into these wolves? And do you think they've been with us this entire time? I don't think so. But it is kind of weird. Dave's drawing a little too much stuff from wolves. And I know he loves wolves, but it's like, bro. You got Wolfpack, you got Skoll, you got Hati. What else does he have? Merok apparently is translated into a man who was changed into a werewolf by a witch named Morgan. Something like that. So there's a lot of wolf terminology and inspiration in the Ahsoka show and in any of Dave's work. And that's cool because wolves are my favorite animal as well. They always were. So yeah, it's a lot of interesting stuff to think about. I personally think that Baylan is going to sacrifice himself and die in the end, but he's going to turn to the light in doing so, much like a Vader kind of moment, which I think will be pretty moving and pretty beautiful, also considering that Ray Stevenson has passed. So I wish he was around to see how many people think his character is pretty badass and his great acting and portrayal of it. First of all, the acting of the show is phenomenal. It's just as good as the music, which is very, very nice and goes along with all of the scenes really perfectly. And that was a big thing that George always really leaned on heavily, was the music. That needs to be like really on par with the scenes to really drag out that emotion and really pull the emotion out and carry it and sail it nicely. Music can do a lot, so I think John Williams really made Star Wars what it is today. So anyways, nothing more I want to add to that. I think that Baylan eventually will turn, and so will Shin Hati, and in the end it'll just be Shin, so we'll see what happens. But you know, if we give rise to the moon theory, the Skoll and Hati theory with the wolves, then maybe Shin will stay in the dark side. And this is what I was talking to Dash about this. You guys remember Dash Star? One of the most OG Star Wars channels, and then he now has a lore channel called Lord Dash. He talks about Diablo and stuff like that, so, and Dark Lord Dash, so shout out to him. But yeah, we were talking about it and he like brought this to my attention. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what, that's true. So anyways, yeah, that's my thoughts on all this stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the vid. Let me know what you think about the theory. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.